Hello and welcome back to First Impressions. This is a show where my co-host Dash Hooper and I evaluate a new album each week with a few simple ground rules. First, must be an album we've never heard before. Second, we're only allowed to play it once. After that, we take notes and rate it in a variety of categories. Usually we play it a few more times to try to really get grasping with it. And today, the album we're going to be looking at is The Kick Inside, the 1978 album by Kate Bush. So, Dash, how are you feeling? Because this was a rough week. So
this was a rough week, rough album. It kicked me inside. It kicked me inside. This album kicked me inside because it was man. Well, I'm doing great. Other than that,
you guys, it's out now on Amazon. I haven't hit my order yet. I got to do that tonight when we're done. So the book is out there. You can go and get a copy of it on Amazon. So that's gonna be better than the album we talk about tonight. And to any Kate Bush fans, spoiler alert, I'm going to apologize in advance. Because I know as looking online, researching online, doing my normal set of research, I see that she has a passionate and rabid following, and to them I say, good, you do you. Enjoy what you enjoy. I'm sure some of the stuff I listen to, more people out there would think is utter garbage, and that's fine. You're entitled to that. Everyone can have the opinion they have. But in this particular case, I would have to say, sorry, because some of the things I'm going to have to say will be less than nice. I'm going to try to come at it diplomatically. I did research. I wanted to really come at a point where I can be proactive and not just rip the shit out of this album, which was what my gut instincts were telling me to do. So You lasted less than a minute. We're here on this show. We were forced to listen to the whole thing, and I'm on listen number 3. And I kept waiting, like maybe something will go, and nothing went. It was just like, every listen got more painful. Oh man, yeah. So we're getting way ahead of ourselves. But yeah,
if I did not have to review this for the show, Deepak, I would have. I wouldn't even got past the porpoises or the dolphins
the animals that were one of the best singers on the album, perhaps the best. It's probably contest, the best singers on the album. I am on Team Porpoise, so that's just me. All right, so you went back. See, you had the luxury of saying no more. I don't have to listen to this shit. So you can just tune in and listen to us talk a little bit about what we suffered through. We suffered so you don't have to. And to Kate Bush fans, once again, I apologize because that's probably the nicest thing I'm going to say today when it comes to this album. So I have little to say. This is going to be
45 minutes to an hour. This is going to be 45 minutes to an hour of complaining. I even liked some of Taylor Swift. So if that tells anybody out there watching,
maybe this album needed more. This album needed more fucks. Hey, Taylor Swift needed to reduce the fucks. This album needed more. So at least I could be like, tell him, Kate Bush, fuck that. No, but yes, let's of course get back to how we start our show. We are going to follow our format because we have rules. I made the rules, so I must follow them because they're my damn rules. Even if that means I have to listen to this album too many times, well, I'm here. So we're here so you don't have to. And we did play this. It did stream. Pops played the album earlier, and he had to listen to it. So Pops now suffers alongside us. So we all suffer together. So, if you love this album, then please, again, don't be offended by what we have to say. Comment. Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why she is a master artist. And we'll disagree with you, but that's so cool. It's cool. Tell us why we're wrong. Because I want to hear someone who loves Kate Bush tell me, what did we get wrong about this? But before we start, we always start with a history of the artist. So Kate Bush is an English singer and songwriter, and she's also produced records. She is known for her distinctive voice, and that is something that I could see. You know, all right. I'm just gonna get back to the history because I don't want to start ripping on her just yet. If you want to hear us rip, don't worry, we're coming. But we have to tell a little bit about her stuff. So she's known for an eclectic music style, poetic lyrics. She was born on July 30th, 1958 in Bexleyheath, England. I mispronounced that. Just tell me what I did wrong, but I don't know how to do it right. And 1978, she gained some popularity for her song Wuthering Heights, which is on the album. We'll talk about it. And it was actually a top song on the UK charts. And she was the first female artist to get a #1 hit with a song that she wrote herself. And you have to give mad props to that because this was definitely a time when men ruled the album charts. And the fact that she went out, she wrote an album, whatever you think of the album, whatever I think of the album, she went out, she wrote an album, and she was the first woman to top the charts with a song that she wrote herself, not just, you know, so many of the singers that would have been around at that time were having songs written for them. Still now that's true. I mean, that's the one thing I had to say good about Taylor Swift was at least she was writing her own music. It's not just, you know, here it's this committee, they're going to write it, and that's what you're going to hear. So props for that. I'll try to give the positives before I heap on the negatives. So she was discovered by David Gilmour of Pink Floyd, and he discovered her, I believe, when she was 15 or 16. So she was extremely young, and they worked on this album for several years until they released it in 1978. She also has a few other acclaimed albums, Hounds of Love, which has Running Up That Hill, and that's probably the one that if you know a Kate Bush song, that's the one you know, whether it be from the 1980s because you're old like us, or from Stranger Things because you're young and you found it that way, because my third graders know Running Up That Hill because of Stranger Things. So that's saying how popular it is. But she blends elements of prog rock, art pop, experimental. A lot of it sounded like kind of like something a bard would listen to in the medieval times when I was, because as I finished the album, I did a lot of listening on Spotify because my family should not have to suffer just because I do. And yeah, the first song was playing on the turntable. They're like, "What the hell is that?" And it's like, wow, they weren't that mean about Jethro Tull. They weren't that mean about Gordon Lightfoot, but this was the one that snapped the family and was like, "Put on your headphones, get out of the living room. This is not acceptable music." So this is the first one that got me booted out of the living room. So there we go.
I had to listen to it for a second, you know, because obviously to get our notes and everything again and whatnot. Second, third time, my girls went out with their grandmother, so I could actually listen to it with nobody complaining about the songs.
Yeah, that was it. My wife starts commenting, my daughter starts commenting, and I ran out back. I was kind of listening to it while I was cooking, so I ran out back to put on the hamburgers, and I come in and it's quiet, and my daughter's like, "Dad, no, I couldn't do any more of that one." So we were all suffering. So it became my first of all the albums, headphone album, because anything else I've listened to, it's like some of them they enjoyed, some of them they didn't, but none of them were moved to headphones and headphones alone. So here's the one, the headphone album of the mix. So he had to listen. We all did. We apologize. Our show should not make you suffer, but you know, we can suffer together. Like Lori suffered with 38 Special. This one I might actually give her to use her with her weird weapon. But I guess we're ahead of ourselves. So yeah. So let's see. We talked about her resurgence, and she is still considered a highly influential artist to a lot of modern music. So yeah, we'll talk about that. I did kind of do a little research of artists that she's influenced because I don't want to just go on full attack mode, because you try to come away with something positive when you listen to any album. I mean, even the ones that I thought were suffering, I was wrong. I mean, I thought Gordon Lightfoot was rough until I was introduced to Kate Bush, and you're like, Gordon Lightfoot, that's the greatest album
Fantastic.
I've heard. Now I fucking love it. I want to hear nothing but that album, and like, give me more pirate dancing on Jethro Tull. I don't know. I'm still not. I still that those horrible Christmas songs that were written, the New York Christmas and the whatever the Gordon Lightfoot Christmas song, I still will put those at least equal with the Kate Bush. So they're not not to say that they're better, but they're definitely not worse. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this album in particular. This is her first album. So this was her first album released when she was 19 years old. So released February 17th, 1978. And it introduced the world to Kate Bush, whether for good or for bad. And definitely, we talk about the 1970s. And I think I've established that only 20 good things came out of the 1970s. Kate Bush is not on the list. I'm sorry, Kate Bush. You are not one of the 20. I mean, we got a Star Wars movie. We got Alien. We got Black Sabbath, as John told us we had to include. But we're running out of our 20. And she's definitely not going to make that 20 good things that came out of the 70s. And of course, we have Dash, we have myself, we have my wife. I don't know if your wife was born in the 70s, but if
she's 80s.
80s, all right. So she doesn't need to worry about being one of the good things that came out of the 70s. The 80s had plenty of good stuff, but yeah, the 70s, yeah, our list is running short, and we're gonna run out of our 20 things before you know it. So apologies to anyone who doesn't make the cut. If you were born in the 70s and you feel like you need to make the cut, you're right, and we'll add you to the list, but it's going to run out. So eventually you'll be like, sorry, you were born in the 70s. Just pretend it was the 80s. Well, we won't tell anyone. So yeah, it introduced the world to Kate Bush, her literary inspired songwriting and her theatrical singing style. And she was 19 years old when it came out. She was discovered in 1976 by David Gilmour, who signed her to the EMI Records, and she spent a lot of time taking music lessons before she actually released this album. Should she have taken more vocal lessons? That is debatable, but I would say, she could have waited till she was like 22, 23, a little more time. That dying cat sound is just not a great thing, but, again, I'm spoiling, but Wuthering Heights was released as the first single, and it hit number 1 as before, making her the first woman to write a song and hit number 1. And this album did go platinum, so it did sell a lot of copies, and it is considered a very influential album by a lot of people, and good for them. I'm happy. I'm happy they enjoyed it better than I did. But let's kind of dig a little bit into our history with Kate Bush. So what's your history with her? I'm assuming it's very similar to mine.
Pretty similar. Yeah, listen, everybody was talking about like she was big in the 80s. I don't remember her from the 80s. The only time I recall Kate Bush's name ever being brought up was just like we talked about with Stranger Things and Run Up That Hill. And that is, and even then I barely heard the song in the show. But yeah, that's the, we were going through our list and I was like, well, I've never heard a Kate Bush album. It felt like the right time to break out a Kate Bush album because everybody was talking about it. But
yeah, she had such a huge resurgence. So this is absolutely the time. Yeah. And even though I will always say, hey, you picked this one, remember, and I will make sure because the thing is, I can see why you picked it. And when you put it on there, I said, yeah, that's true, because there's a resurgence and it's an artist I'm truly unfamiliar with. And the whole format of this show is to find something that we're not familiar with, to come in fully blind on an album, on an artist, and hopefully discover something we love. And we have found some artists that we really connected with on the show. So it sometimes works. And even the ones that I was the most opposed to, I could dig out some nuggets of good, even if it was not my style, not my genre. They were posing with beers, whatever it may be. There were things in each album that we've looked at so far that I could say, okay, that's good. That's good. This one was my hardest one, and my history is really the same place as yours. Although I do remember running up that hill from the 80s. I remember it distinctly because we would go to the drive-in pretty much every weekend when I was a kid.
Yeah,
in the 80s.
Pretty much every weekend.
And this would be one of the songs they would play on the little speakers before the movie started. So I remembered running up that hill, playing on the speakers, and I remember when it got repopularized, I should say, on Stranger Things, my first thought was, is it that shitty song from the 80s? And then I heard it. I'm like, wait, it is? Oh, man. I mean, good for her. Congrats on getting popular again. But I hated 10 when it came out. I was like, this song is crap. I didn't like the synths. I didn't like the repetitiveness of it. And I had thought maybe her earlier stuff was better. Because how many times have we read about the album and they all complain like, oh, it's the early stuff that you should have been listening to. Blue Oyster Cult, 38 Special. The purists are whining about it's all about the early. It's all about the previous albums. This one is the earliest album. So like, all right, the purists, this is going to be the one that they're going to use as reference. But yeah, we went back as far as we could go. And I don't know. The purists are going to hate us. If the purists are tuning in, we're dead meat. They're about to decimate us. They're going to get a Lori style weapon and just slice and dice.
Absolutely.
You thought the Swifties were mad. Wait till we get done with this. But
the Bushies are going to be mad.
If they exist, they're coming at us.
Yeah, the Bushies are coming.
We're going to have some knocks on our door with people wearing masks, and like porpoise masks are going to take us down. Like, all right, the Porpoise Clan is coming. Beware.
Yeah.
All right. So, reviews of the album. Much like so many of the earlier albums, when we find these early albums, it's really difficult to find reviews because most of the reviews you're going to find are going to be kind of later reviews. They're reacting to her legacy, and then they're going to write this glowing positive review. So the reviews I did find, Metacritic didn't have any reviews in it, but I found a few from 1978 that were actually written when the album came out, and most of them were positive. The criticisms that came were her theatrical delivery and unconventional kind of song style. So I love what NME said. They praised her originality. They called her a startling new talent, but they noted that her vocal style might be divisive. I'm like, that's the understatement of the century right about there. It's like, yeah, divisive is putting it mildly. Melody Maker enjoyed her maturity at a young age and her literary influences, and Sound Magazine said it was nothing like pop music in the time, and they thought that her dramatic, whimsical approach was overwhelming. I'm like, I'm going to agree with that. And Rolling Stone was also saying that it was a bit too eccentric to ever be on mainstream radio. And I think that remains true now. That doesn't mean, I mean, we've listened to eccentric music and stuff that we'll never hear on the radio. And I wasn't as just opposed to it as when we hit this one. And the retrospective reviews, all the ones that come now, you know, from the 2020s, they're all like 5 stars, 8 stars. You know, Pitchfork was saying it was such a powerful album that was ahead of its time. And I mean, I can see that. I can see when we get in and start digging into the album itself, I can hear the influences that came from it. I mean, there's artists that I listen to that I can hear directly in this album. Doesn't mean I want to say it's great, but I can see where someone would be influenced by it. So the retrospective reviews are generally going to be positive. Most people don't go back to a 1978 album to say, remember that album from 1978? It sucks. So it's not really something that happened. So the retrospective reviews are always going to be heaping the praise on it as her, as an artist, as, you know, influential. So yeah, Pitchfork, I think this is the highest Pitchfork we've seen of all the ones we've done so far.
Yep. And I don't understand it. And I don't understand you, Pitchfork.
Oh, no, you haven't read enough Pitchfork to know that that's how they operate. They will give the highest reviews to some awful album and then something that you really enjoy, especially if it's pop, if it's mainstream. Pitchfork goes right against it. So it really fits the Pitchfork MO. Like, we're going to show you, we're going to, you know, give The Cure a 7.7 and Kate Bush, you know, an 8.7. And it's rare that you ever see a 10 on Pitchfork. They exist. And there's a few that I agree with. There's a few I disagree with, but 10s are rare. So I guess we've been kind of spoiling our overall thoughts on it. But what were your overall thoughts? Even though we kind of know.
I think we got to know. Listen, if you go open the dictionary to the word annoying, you're going to find the album that we're reviewing, a picture of that out. I mean, you and I talked literally like the last couple of days just about how we felt about this. And then today I posted a post. I'm like, what is the worst album you've ever heard? Because this one is my new top spot.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to be nice about this. I will say my overall, she is a very good lyricist.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have no problem with the lyrics. The problem I have is understanding sometimes what she's singing.
Mm-hmm.
And her voice can get really high and almost grating at times where you
not almost.
It gets grating.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I can't even understand what she's saying. You know, you start off the album. Listen, every time we talk, and I'll say this every show, I want to be dragged in from the immediate song, the first song. I want to be dragged into it and know that I'm going to be listening to an excellent album. The first thing I hear is Porpoises. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? And then it goes in, and I didn't even understand almost the first few lines of the song because I'm still focusing on the porpoises in the background.
And yet you will find yourself missing the porpoises 2 minutes into the song. You're like, could you bring back another porpoise solo? That's what I need right now.
And there were
that was the best part.
I did. And then I think she's a great lyricist. I went back and read the lyrics of a lot of songs, and I think she has great words and she's a poet. Don't get me wrong. I think she's a very good poet and a very good lyricist. I don't know if she can sing, and I'm trying to be nice. I just don't know if she can sing those lyrics. Like, like I sit here and picture, like some of these songs Heart could have sung. I'm sitting here picturing like Heart or Annie Lennox or, from the Rhythmics and things like that. These songs would have sounded better in their voices and probably could have done it justice. I'm not trying to bash on. If you love Kate Bush, that's great. And I can understand why there's a lot, I like a lot of country music that people look at me and go, you're stupid. But, I just think she really is a great lyricist. This album I don't know why they made this first. And then the kick, you have all these songs and I'm used to you at least releasing the title album, the title track of the album, The Kick Inside. That's the last song. And I didn't even understand it half the time.
Yeah. I had to do research to understand where that one came from. So I'm right there with you. And for my overall thoughts, I tried to come in at this place. I understand and appreciate the legacy she's created. So she's been a major influence on lots of modern songwriters, and you can hear the influence in artists like Tori Amos, Dresden Dolls, Bjork. If you listen to those artists, you can hear her directly. Tori Amos especially. I mean, that's like absolutely know where Tori Amos was drawing from. Where some of these ones I'm like, Tori Amos could be singing this song and no one would be surprised. And I appreciate her storytelling, her introspective lyrics, her discussion of the feminine experience. This isn't a very 1970s thing. But that said, I could not get past her voice. I just couldn't get past it. And I was even writing notes as we're going along, like I always do. Like, okay, I see you're creating a vibe. I just don't feel this vibe. It's not working for me. It's just the most grating voice became impossible for me to listen to. And track one has been kind of an ongoing discussion and theme on this show. If you don't nail it on the first track, the rest of the album, you may not even give it a chance. Like where that Jethro Tull album, we played it. If I didn't have to listen to it, track one would have taken me out. This album, track one would have taken me right out. I would have been like, remove the needle from the turntable, and we're not even going to hear track two because I'm done. I gave it as much as I could. And yeah, track one was the end of it. If we didn't, if we weren't required to listen to it for the sake of what we do here.
I almost would have rather her started with Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
Like that would have been a good song to start with. That would have, because that's a song that was very, or the one of the least annoying, or where you could actually understand what she was singing for the most part, I think.
Yeah.
And then it just, I don't know. It just, I'm trying to be nice because I don't want to be in trouble and get canceled.
I see you're dancing around it, but
I am dancing. It was just a bad album. It really was. I'll lay it on the line. This was just a bad album.
That's okay, because I here's what we were talking about earlier, and I had to pull this up. So if you've ever seen the movie Scrooge, because a lot of you aren't out here listening to the album, so you've seen the movie Scrooge, and you have seen Carol Kane, and the voice that she uses in that movie is literally the singing voice of Kate Bush for this entire album. So if you go back and watch the scene where she's talking about hitting Frank with a toaster, that's this album. In a nutshell, that is the album with more poetic lyrics. But if you can actually survive the voice, maybe you'll find all the beauty of the album. But all I could hear, as soon as my brain processed that, that's all I could hear. So I just imagined her, the fairy ghost, singing these songs, and my mind was just, it couldn't get past it, and that's my own fault. I create stupid imagery in my brain, but that one, if you hear this album, you cannot tell me I'm wrong. That I'll tell a lot of times people, I'll say, okay, tell me I'm wrong, comment, but no, whether you love it or not, that shit is Carol Kane singing. That's what we listen to for.
And the fact that you brought up Bjork, now that just makes all the much more sense, and I can
and Bjork is another one. I respect her legacy. I just don't get it. I don't get Bjork, and people will absolutely tell me I'm wrong on it, and that's great, but to each their own. I just it's kind of like Bjork, kind of like Morrissey. I mean, he may be a great songwriter, but I detest him so much
as a human being.
It's on my nerves. So it's like when you dislike someone. Now, I don't dislike, Kate Bush. I've never heard anything negative about her as a person. So good. And like I said, her legacy. You hear it. You listen to Tori Amos. You listen to Bjork. You listen to the Dresden Dolls. You can hear that songwriting influence. Just some with better vocal quality. And honestly, it took me a long time to get to even listen to Tori Amos, because her voice I had a difficult time with at first as well. But one of my friends in college, she told me, you got to get past it. You got to listen to the lyrics. And I'm now a fan of Tori Amos. So maybe I could get there with Kate Bush, but I find Kate Bush's voice an octave higher. It's like Tori Amos on helium, and it's too much. It's like, I can't get past the voice. And when I can't, it's like all I want to do is just skip. And I couldn't, because I'm like, all right, the needle is dropped. I must play this whole damn album. But it took me I think I played side A and I had to give myself a break. I'm like, I can't continue.
Yeah.
I need a pause because it is just it's too much. And this was the first time that's happened. And I played every other album all the way through.
I took 30-minute a 30-minute break in between each one.
Yeah, we're about the same. I think I needed about a half hour after side A. And then it was like, all right, I will get through this. I can survive this. And I was reading the lyrics. I'm like, okay, there's some good lyrics here. There's some deep and interesting lyrics. And just the fact that she isn't afraid to sing about the experience of womanhood. And there's a song we'll talk about later when we talk about best lyrics that, it's like we the 38 specials out there shouldn't be the only horn dogs writing music. So Kate Bush takes her stab at it too. And you know what? Do your thing. That's great, because normally it's the men perving out on the women with a scantily clad woman on the cover and, objectifying, but she's like, hey, I can do it too. And I found that was kind of cool. But again, it was the voice. It was just too much for me to power through. It's just could not do it. And if YouTube wouldn't yank this thing off right now, I would play something and but the moment we start trying that, I'll play it. But what I'll try to do is when we get done with this broadcast, I can add some little music clips as long as they're not too long. And then you be the judge. Is it Tori Amos on Helium? Is it Carol Kane singing?
Yes, it's Carol Kane.
It's Carol Kane for sure. As soon as I told my wife, she's like, holy crap, it's exactly that.
As soon as you show me that on backstage, it immediately kicked in. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So this might be our shortest category of the day. What is the best song on this album?
I can't think of the. Like I said, if I have to pick one, it is Wuthering Heights. Like I said, I think it's the one that you can actually listen to, and her voice is relatively okay. And I feel like that's her anthem anyway. Like you talking about it, and you just listen to the song, and you read, and we'll go over the lyrics here in a little bit. I feel like it's an anthem for her, anyways. Like this was her signature stamp of approval for herself and her song. And so I mean, if that's probably the best one. Other than that, it was very hard to I mean, the Kite song, I was trying to listen to the Kite, and it just got annoying. And
I got some words about the Kite song, but we'll wait till we get to the skip this one, because skip this album if we were given the choice. But since we are trying to be objective, I mean, we're not rock critics, so don't get me wrong. We don't have to be objective, but I try. I mean, with any album we listen to, I absolutely try to give it my best. And Wuthering Heights was the one that I put up as my top song too. I thought the storytelling was the strongest. Now, I'm an English lit major, and I never read Wuthering Heights, so I don't know how connected it is to the song, to the actual book. I know that reading interviews with her, she actually wrote the song before she had read the book. Then she read the book and realized, okay, it actually works. She just kind of read a synopsis of the book and wrote the song. I don't honestly think I've even read a synopsis of the book. So I'm going to say whatever she's saying, it must be right. We'll just give her the benefit of the doubt. But I thought it had good storytelling aspects. It had the closest thing to a catchy chorus that we have on this album. So, and I tried to listen to it multiple times, because I'm like, I did not try to run with it, because I knew better. I'm not going to run to this album. Like every other album we played, I give it the running test. Now, there's been albums that I've liked. Like, all right, I didn't give Gordon Lightfoot the running test. It's too mellow. My pace would go way down. I didn't give Godspeed You Black Emperor the running test, because again, it's going to bring my tempo down. But even something like 38 Special, it kind of passed the running test, because it's got a tempo that keeps you moving along, even if, it's not. Some of the lyrics were like, what the hell are they talking about this in a bouncy song like that? But it can keep you moving. This album would not keep me moving. It would get me immediately pulling out my phone and trying to navigate Spotify with my sweaty hands and turn it off. So it did not get the running test because it would have failed. But yeah, the only other one that I really put in was the Kick Inside. And because I had to read the lyrics and then go read the story that it was based on. And I guess it was about a brother who impregnated his sister and she's about to commit suicide. So a messy story, but lyrically, I thought, okay, that's interesting that she adapted this kind of well-known British tale. And it's, you know, again, it's British, so we don't know it in America, but I thought that was interesting. I thought it was kind of just standard piano and singing. Again, that voice, this cat in the dryer dying voice, I can't stomach it. And I mean, again, we're not being nice, but it's hard.
The Kick Inside would have been, again, somebody that can, and I'm trying to be nice about her voice. I get it. It's annoying to Ed and I, but I feel like if somebody else had sang that can really drive home what the song was about, it would have been a really good song to listen to lyrically. It's a very strong, and again, I don't want to take away from any of her, because she is a very good storyteller. Like I said, she's a poet. If you go in and look at a lot of the lyrics of the song, she's very poetic. It's just, it's not translating with her voice to me. So
and the fact that she wrote some of these songs when she was 15, it's like, what the hell was I doing at 15? I mean, I was just some dopey kid reading comic books at 15. I wasn't writing an album, good singing or not, whatever we think of the voice. The fact that she started this album as a 15-year-old and got discovered by David Gilmour of Pink Floyd is saying, okay, there is something absolutely special about her as a lyricist, as a songwriter. But it's just kind of, had she been the kind of person who wrote songs for others behind the scenes, she would have probably been just renowned as the world's greatest songwriter, and she would have all these number one hits that she handed to other people. And I think that could have been something that her legacy would have been even greater, because I'm sure we're not the only ones. Even some of the early reviews talked about how it's very hard to get past her vocals. It's very hard to get past her singing style, which is kind of like, almost, I mean, the freaking Carol Kane, it sounds like a high-pitched fairy trying to sing songs. So it really, I could imagine people in the 70s hearing this and thinking, it's like, I'll find something else, even if it's not the greatest written thing. It's going to be something you'd rather, you're not going to pop the needle on this album at some kind of a party. Like, your party guests will be pissed off at you if you do that. I mean, it's kind of like, I think about, like, I listen to some weird indie rock that has questionable voices. Like, I love Neutral Milk Hotel. Jeff Mangum's voice is absolutely polarizing. So that means if I'm having a party, I'm not busting out the Neutral Milk Hotel album to play for my party guests. I'll listen to that one on my own. And like I said, you could talk about his voice, but it works better for me. And I don't know why, but I know people who say, oh, Neutral Milk Hotel, I can't listen to them because that guy's voice is grating. And I respect that. It works for me, but it's not going to work for everyone.
She was definitely popular in Australia and I think Sweden and Denmark. I think she was really popular in those areas. Even in the UK at first, she wasn't as popular as she was like in Australia and the Scandinavian countries. Even in Japan,
Japan will find artists like that and really connect with them. And the Scandinavian countries, you think of like Bjork and Iceland and how she would have probably found her, and you can definitely hear that connection to those. And that's the things, you look at it, and I look at her as a legacy artist, and you can hear the connection that she's had with so many of these, now influential artists that were from the 80s, from for the 90s. And that's something. But I will say this, and this is, you know, completely disconnected with any other thought. This album cover is deceptive because it looks like you see her sitting like this and you think you're about to listen to some Tiffany style mall pop.
Yeah.
And then see you drop the needle, like, wait, no, that's not. I'm not listening to Think You're Alone now, because you hear it, you listen, you look at her, and that does not tell you what
this was the alternative cover.
Well, this was the original cover that was released when it came out, because the pressing I got was from 78, so that's the cover I found. The new cover is more connected with what it actually sounds like now. So I see the new cover. I'm like, okay, that one,
orange and very orangey and yellowish and black. Yeah, it's very that would definitely fit. I was like, this is crazy. Because you're right. You're looking at a pop star. You're right. This is. Let's go to the mall. Pop star Robin Sparkles here.
78 Tiffany. I'm like, okay, she should be playing the mall tour with Tiffany, and then as soon as she starts singing, you'd be like, wait, what the hell just happened? That's not who I was expecting to start singing. So yeah, it was interesting. And I have the original cover. I'll pull it up here in a second, because you see the difference. It's better. The other cover is definitely the better, more appropriate cover to what we're doing, because this one screams mall pop. Like I said, it screams Robin Sparkles, it screams Tiffany, it screams I'm an 80s mall icon, and she's even got that kind of look like all those albums had. And then nothing from the music connects with the lyric or with the cover you're seeing right there. So yeah, let me pull it up so we can see the other cover, and then we'll talk about best lyrics, because I think that's something that was not so much a stretch to find is good lyrics in the album. So we can definitely pull those up. So this is the alternate cover. You see, you got kind of the kite woman, and it fits better to what you're going to get. If you saw this cover, it would be less jarring than when you see mall pop cover, and you know, you get what you get. So it's
I love that cover. Like I really do love that. We, you know, just like we talked about with the cover of last week's, I like albums that make you think about what the album is about and what they in. Yeah, I love that cover. That's a beautiful cover. And I wish that was the one that we would have had.
Yeah, and that would have been, if that were the original cover, it kind of tells you what you're getting better than the one that actually came out in 78. The one that I got, because I bought an old pressing. That one I actually got straight from the used bin. And it's funny because I bought it in the used bin, and it has the prices slashed and slashed. They just kept lowering the price. Like, please, someone buy this album. Like, she got popular from Running Up That Hill. Buy this one. And they look on the back like, oh, it doesn't have Running Up That Hill. Never mind. I'm not going to buy this one. But yeah, the other cover is more telling to what you're going to get. A more interesting cover. The little kite woman is on the back cover of this one, but really should have been on the front cover. Because the mall pop and kind of starry-eyed cover we get of 19-year-old Kate Bush screams nothing like you get on this one. So
not at all.
What do you think with this one? Let's go into something we can be slightly positive about. Then we get to skip this one, and I'm gonna hold out before I speak on that one. So
this one's gonna be this one's gonna be deceived. Yeah, this one's gonna be deceiving because, like I said, I absolutely 100% appreciate her songwriting skills.
Yeah,
and I like Wuthering Heights. We're gonna, you know, out of the Wiley Windy Moors, we'd roll and fall in the green. So you're already feeling that you're in, you know, where you're at. You had a temper like my jealousy, too hot, too greedy. I'm like, man, I just wish I could have understood these words when you know, or for the most part, you can understand these ones, but it's poetic and you know, when you go to certain songwriters, that's what you want. You want the poetry of the songs. Like we can go back to 38 Special, we can be like, yeah, this is all about getting drunk and having fun in a bar and shooting pool. I get it. That's what they're known for.
You're not searching for deepness when you listen to a 38 Special album. If you are, then you're not gonna find it. You're gonna find a lot of stuff. And that one, alternately, you could pop on at a party and people aren't gonna stare at you like you've lost your mind. So it works better for that atmosphere. But this one, the lyrics are beautiful, and when you dig into them, you really see there's some great stuff in there. And that's Wuthering Heights had some of the best lyrics, and that one was the one that I think that's why both of us kind of put it on our top pick of the album, because it does have such great lyrics in it. And I mean, she is a lyrical genius when it comes to it, because this is what did at 19. And I mean,
I like
writing classes when I was nothing I put out was in this level. I mean, I don't think most people who are 19 are doing anything in this level.
Yeah. And then I like on Feel It too. God, but you're beautiful, aren't you? Feel your warm hand walking around. I won't pull away. My passion always wins. Keep on moving on, or keep on moving in. So keep on turning in. Synchronized. So, I mean, you know what? I think I know what she's talking about, but this was love, and for her, this was a love song. But again, it was one of those songs where I just wish somebody else had sung it.
the theme of the album, like if it were someone else, it could have been tolerable. Because I love that when in Moving, one of the lyrics I wrote down was "You crushed the lily in my soul," and I love that, because you know what it means, and she's definitely talking about losing virginity, but in such a poetic way. And I think that's what, when we talked about going all the way back to one of our earlier albums, we were talking about Soccer Mommy, and she had these beautiful poetic lyrics, but her voice is also good. So you're not listening and going like, oh gosh, if just someone else sang these ones, like, hey, I'm going to see Soccer Mommy tomorrow in concert, and if she covers a Kate Bush song, I might find like, wow, that is a damn good song. She could cover one of the songs from this album and breathe some life into it that would make me think, wow, that's great. But you just want a different voice, any voice besides this just grating, painful voice. So I also had from Them Heavy People, where she said they arrived at an inconvenient time I was hiding in my mind. So I just I love those lyrics. And then Feel It was that's her horny song. I was kind of laughing.
Yeah, that's her love song. That's what I call it. I mean, we'll just leave it at love song. But you're right.
Hey, I was calling 38 Specials horny, so I'll give her the same credit. I'm not here to discriminate. If you're a man singing it, if you're a woman singing it, you're just getting horny, because she's saying the glorious union. Well, it could be love, or it could just be lust, but it will be fun. It will be wonderful. So I'm like, all right, she's out to have a good time. She's gonna shoot She's gonna shoot pool and booze with the 38 Special guys and take one of them home. And you know what? More power to her. Do your thing, Kate Bush. Do your thing.
You do. So here's the positive about this album. It is lyrically, the written word lyrically. Mm-hmm. It is very well written. Again, you brought up Those Heavy People. I like that song. It's just I can't listen to it with that. We also talked about The Kick Inside. You know, I understand the message of the song. Kite. Now we're gonna, when we get to Kite.
I got words.
That might be the only one.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have some other. I mean, I guess it's more some of these, like even some of them musically just took me out of the whole album. But let's take a look. It's time for our skip this one. So I have a few on here. So go ahead and give me your first skip song.
I am skipping the saxophone song.
Yes.
I am skipping James and the Cold Gun. The Man with the Child in His Eyes. Where's the other one?
Which I think that one that was written when she was 15. So I'm like, all right, I'll forgive you for that one, because it is one of the weaker lyrical songs. And if you wrote it when you're 15, what 15-year-old is out there writing hits? But yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and then L'Amour looks something like you. It was all right, but I can keep it, but I can skip it too. That's one of those songs I can keep it, but I can skip it just as much as I'm going to keep it. So those were my skips.
Yeah, so my skip saxophone song was absolutely on there. That one, I as my notes on that one is this is Lisa Simpson level saxophone playing, and what the hell's it doing on a professional album? Yeah. So I just heard it and I kept imagining Lisa Simpson playing it in her room and Helmer yelling at her to shut up. And I was yelling at them to shut up. So it's like, yes, that was awful saxophone playing. Lyrically, one of her weaker songs overall. And yeah, the second one I had was Strange Phenomena. And that one, my notes were, it's like Julie Andrews mixed with Meatloaf. And that's never good.
That's awesome.
So, and then Meatloaf. Kite, I said it's a bouncy, jaunty song that feels like circus music from hell. So those were my notes on those particular songs. So yeah, they just
Kite is so bad. I mean, you know, because I didn't even have to say it and skip this one because we talked about how bad it is. And it's so. I don't even. That's a song that should have not even been on the album. I know she wrote it, but you're right. Circus. Yeah. It's a bad. It's like if I want my kids to go to bed, I'm going to play that song to get them riled up to get them to go to bed because they don't want to hear it. They want to go lay in the room and get away from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So apparently someone on Pilled is not liking our opinion, and that's fine. We said from the beginning, our opinions are going to differ. That's why we're trying to kind of connect it with, there's great lyrics in here. She is an amazing lyricist, but not every song. But some of these songs were written when she was 15. So you look at that from a different lens. It's a different perspective. When someone is 15, they're not going to write the deepest, most amazing introspective lyrics. They're writing it from the mind of a 15-year-old. And yeah, I mean, if I could go dig up some of the god-awful writing I had as a 15-year-old, it would not age well. And it would be absolutely put me up for some mockery. And that's fine.
I write 15. I write bad at 51. So it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
I write bad.
In the end, we look at the positives. She was highly influential. Yeah. She was someone who you look at the modern kind of experimental indie and, you know, esoteric singers that are out there, and her influence is all over them. And that is something you can't say of all the artists. Like, we're not going to pull out Gordon Lightfoot's album and hear his influence all throughout the music of today. It's not going to be there. You're not going to pull 38 Special out and hear their influences all throughout there. Now, Stevie Wonder, that's a different story altogether. Stevie Wonder's influences are everywhere in all the music, and, you know, lots of his music's been used in loops. And Kate Bush, you hear those influences, you know why people are so connected with her and why they love her so much. Not from me, because when I can't get past a voice, it just doesn't work. And that's kind of like, I think of, you know, bands like Sonic Youth. I love Sonic Youth, but I skip the Kim Gordon songs because her voice is just nails on a chalk. And they're great musicians. I'll listen to all the Lee songs. I'll listen to all the Thurston songs, but the Kim Gordon songs, nope. Even if they're musically strong and powerful, I just can't get past her voice. And that's why at first I didn't listen to Sonic Youth, because I thought she sang all the songs. And then I realized, she only sings some. And, you know, that was the CD era. So there was that beautiful skip button, and that I would just skip through the Kim Gordon ones. And if you're a Kim Gordon fan, again, apologies, but her voice does suck, and fight me on that. Her voice is awful, but she's a good songwriter. I mean,
I wouldn't want to hear Fran Drescher sing an album. Okay. The Nanny, I would not want to hear her sing an album. She might be a great person. And Kate Bush is probably, you know, like you said, Kate Bush, we've never heard, and I've never heard a negative thing about her. No. You feel like in the society we live in now. If there was something negative, it's going to be brought up. But I've never heard a negative thing. And she probably, you're right. You can still, she can influence and people might love her, and that's great. I want you to. I'm not saying don't love her. I want you to love her. I want you to love her songs. I know for me, and I hope that you understand that this album is not for me. Again, I'm praising her lyrics and her writing. I think she's great. Her singing voice to me is not, and that's where I'll stand on that.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. And that's, I think, the hardest thing on the album was when I couldn't handle the singing, and it was just song after song, and I'm just like, it's too much. It's too much. And it took me out, where, like talking about Sonic Youth earlier, you get a break. Kim Gordon doesn't sing every single song. There's Thurston songs, there's Lee songs. So you don't get, 45 minutes straight of Kim Gordon. And Kim Gordon just put out a new album. It's got high praise. We will not be covering it on this show because we have suffered enough. So, yeah, I think this is an easy one.
I'm just waiting for the hate mail. So we'll probably get hate mail. Pops, I'm sorry.
Pops has already said that they're tearing us up on Pilled, and that's fine. I respect that, because once again, everyone is gonna have their own opinions, and if your opinion is that Kate Bush is a genius, I'm not gonna disagree with you. It's just she's not my genius, not the one that I can play time and time again, that I'll revisit, that I'll listen to and love. Give me a book of her lyrics, I can read through it. I could be like, wow, that's beautiful stuff. Put me in when we were talking about Mr. Gnome and covering them in a college course. Kate Bush, I'll cover her in a college course. I would love to just dig into and decipher these lyrics. So, they jump. So, okay, I see.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I thought you said we got railed. I have very bad vision, so apologies. I thought someone was like, fuck those guys. Kate Bush is the queen, and she is there. We will say she's the queen, just not my queen. So, yes. So forward the hate mail to Pops. He's okay with it. I've seen enough of Pops on Facebook to know he does not give a fuck if they come after him. So, Pops, you are our scapegoat. Everything we say was endorsed by Pops. I mean nothing. I was coerced into saying these negative things about her god awful voice. It wasn't my fault.
I forced everyone to listen to it. So.
Yeah, this is Dash's pick. She does not sound like Carol Kane from Scrooged. No, not at all.
Not at all.
And please watch it, then listen to the first song and tell me I'm wrong. I dare you. You will be wrong to tell me I'm not right. As soon as I told my wife, she was like, oh my God, it is exactly that. And I told my daughter, and she's like, who's that, Dad? So she had no idea. So Dash shows us both 43 minutes. And I was like, the thing is, we are always trying to find something new. And Kate Bush and her resurgence, I fully understand why you picked this one. The 70s. And this one, honestly, is the least 70s of the 70s albums we played. Besides, I'd say Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is the one album that, despite being from the 70s, has a full timeless feel to it. And I respect so much what she does. But yeah, just it's not for me. So yeah, it's an easy pick. Keeping it, returning it to the used bin. What are you doing on this one?
This is the first time we're going to the used bin.
Yeah, you've been like, you will find a way to keep any album.
I will find a way to keep it.
Used bin.
But I cannot. No, I just in good consciousness to my ears, to my family, I can't. Bonfire is a good one. I can see Lori's. We might have to go get Ash from the Evil Dead to
Frisbee.
So
Ash Lori offered to destroy the 38 special album for us, and I'm not here to destroy that one. There was enough decent. I mean, I didn't love it, but only a few songs actively made me angry. But this one, I'll give it back to her because I know I'm not returning it to the record store I bought it at. They kept marking the price down. By the time I got it, it was like $349, and they're like, "Please just take it." So
if you take it back, they're going to give it away for free.
No, they're going to be like, "No, you keep it. You give that shit to Goodwill. You are not bringing it back to our record store." You know how long we had to wait to get rid of that? Because the price is like, it's $9.99, then it's $7.99, then it's $5.99. They just kept reducing.
Here's your money back if you keep it. Here's your money back.
They were crazy eddying that shit. Like, we're slashing prices. Everything must go.
Wacky inflatable arm guy. Wacky inflatable arm guy. Wacky inflatable arm guy.
Floppy inflatable arm guy. They do not want it back. They will not accept that. If I walk back in the store holding that album, be like, "No, you're banned from our store. You cannot bring it back. We finally got some sap to buy this shit, and we're not letting you give it back."
Frisbee golf in the Walmart parking lot. Yes,
I'm in.
I could do some shit. I could do some skeet shooting with it. I could do some skeet with it.
Heck yeah, that works. See, we found a purpose. I think honestly, my wife always has her little Goodwill box of stuff that we take to Goodwill, and this one is gonna make it there. And someone's gonna think they're buying Happy Mall Pop album, and they're gonna be sadly disappointed. So yes, it's going there, or I'll send Lori a copy of Immortal Era because she backed the digital tier, but I'm happy to send her a physical copy and this album. And Lori, do your thing. If you're listening, if you're not listening, do your thing. I'm not gonna let you destroy the 38 special. No, I don't know if I'll ever play it again, but even so, I don't want to see it destroyed. But this one, Lori,
it's good wall art. It's good wall art.
At it, yeah.
If you build a pool room, put 38 special up in your pool room. It'll blend right in. I promise you.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, and then you just played. You even put the back cover where they're surrounded by the beers, and like either way, like all right, the straight edge pool album, maybe not, but I think we're both on the same thing. I'm returning this to the used bin, even though they won't let me bring it back. They're going to be like, we already loaded it down. You waited. You bought it too early. It was going to be in the 99-cent bin. It just hadn't quite made it there yet. So I was the sap who bought it when it was in the $3 price bin or price range. And hey, you know what? At least they made a sale. I supported a local business, and I feel happy about that. So support local businesses, buy bad albums, because otherwise, what are they going to do? They don't have infinite storage space. They can't hold that forever. So, all right, let's talk about next week. We got some fun coming up next week. Woo! Next week is our first crossover experience. So we are going to be Monday night. You're going to want to go to Critical Affection. They are on YouTube. Go to Critical Affection, and we are going to be talking about the movie Wicked. We're going to be talking with Sarah White. If you've tuned in to my Saturday morning comic talk, Sarah White has been a guest on the show multiple times. She is always a blast, always good conversation. And we're on March 3rd. That is Monday. We'll be talking at 8 Eastern with Sarah about Wicked. Then she's coming on our show Wednesday, and we're going to talk about the soundtrack of Wicked. So Monday, we dig into the movie. We talk about the cinematography, maybe the bad CGI, any of that kind of stuff. Then Wednesday, all about the music. We're going to talk about the music. I will do a history of the book, of the Broadway, kind of give you a full history of everything with that. And then we dig into the album and look at it in the same categories. We're going to look for the best lyrics, best song, any ones you would skip, and then what we think. So, yes, next week, you get twice as much of us doing our thing. So we'll be talking about the movie Monday. We'll be talking about the album Wednesday. Should be a really good time. And Pops, I apologize if you don't like Broadway or musicals. You'll suffer some more. But I like some of my upcoming picks. I think there's some good stuff hiding in there. And then we will get to your Elf pick. But I was telling Pops earlier, some of these albums, I've already bought the vinyl, so I need to actually play and cover them. So Wednesday, 8 o'clock on Pilled, they'll be playing the soundtrack. I'll make sure it's an hour. You might need a little longer, but I'll find out how much the actual just soundtrack is, and we'll let you know. So Pilled, you can hear it there first, and then we'll come here and talk about it with Sarah, with Dash, and yeah, if nothing else, we know they're better singers than what we experienced this week.
Yes.
If they weren't, they would be booted off Broadway very quickly.
Yeah,
so, yeah, should be some fun next week. And now
I'm looking forward to this one. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I'm all right. We have suffered, so you don't have to. We're going to be watching movies this weekend. My house is going to be full of Wicked. So I don't think they'll make me turn it off like Kate Bush, the first of all the artists who got sent to the headphones. Like, no more.
I feel bad now. I'm gonna go hide in shame after the show tonight. I feel bad.
That's okay, because I completely understand why you picked it. It was, she had made such a resurgence. She has such a lasting legacy on all of these artists. So yeah, and neither one of us, this was a true blind experience, where any other album, I can say I've heard a song or a few of the songs, or at least some of their other albums. This one, I knew Running Up That Hill. I knew it from the drive-in when I was a kid. Didn't like it then. Don't like it now. Although I did replay it the other day just to see, is her voice as terrible in this one?
Yes.
So yes. I wanted to see if her voice sounded as bad in Running Up That Hill as it did on this album, and it doesn't. She kind of changed it. She got a little
changed her style.
Deeper tone in her voice, where it's not that squeaky Julie Andrews on Helium, voice where it sometimes wants to be operatic, but she doesn't have the chops to do it. And Running Up That Hill sounds different, but in the end, we have suffered. We made it. We've talked about the first album that we've discovered that we're both thumbs down on, and we're already messaging each other when we started our play. And the first thing I was saying is, I cannot stand this voice. Yeah. I can't stomach any more of her singing. And Dash was like, yep. So it was the first one where, you kind of knew, we kind of knew going in, where every other one, we will dig for the good. Even if I piss and moan about the 70s or complain about things about it, I will try to dig out the good. And I did on this one as well. I tried to dig out the good, her legacy, her songwriting, but that voice.
And I think in our next four up, I only have 170s. I went 70s, 80s, and 90s, and then a recent 2021 or 2022 album.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think, because I have a 90s for my first one. Yeah. I don't have anything super modern, because I'm actually, like we had with Mr. Gnome last week, I'm talking to some of the more current, very new artists, some of the kind of cool underground stuff that I'm listening to. And I know Pops has a band that he said would be probably willing to come on the show. So we're just going to do that. But like I said, a lot of these albums have already been bought. So I want to make sure we get through them, and then we start buying more vinyl. So yes, because I buy everything, whether I like it or not. I always purchase it. Some of it might be making it to the Goodwill with this one, but yeah, I always purchase it. I always buy physical media, because whether we like it or not, it supports local businesses. It supports artists. Absolutely. So buy albums. Don't just stream it on Spotify. There's nothing like the experience of listening to a good album in your living room, or, being told to put some headphones on because this shit's awful. But even so, support artists, support record stores around you, because they need to be out there. The Amazon machine doesn't need our money. So try to, if you can, buy your stuff from the smaller local businesses, because they actually need it. And Spotify rips artists off. Talk to any artist, they'll tell you. So try to buy their physical media and give the money directly to them. And, even though we're
always
not talking
physical
about this,
media,
my plug, go to Mr. Gnome Music, buy their albums there, give them that money directly, because these artists need it. They're actually out there struggling and trying to make money, and they deserve it, not Amazon. So even if you can save $1 or $2 on Amazon, give the band that $1 or $2, give the local record store that $1 or $2, because they actually need it. Bezos doesn't need another couple million, $1 billion to his account. So give it to the locals, and that's all I have to say. So even though I did not love this album, I'm glad I supported a local record store. So now that's it. We're just going to play out some ads. One more plug. Dash has a book out. It's on Amazon. Go buy it. I will be making
Dash Hooper
right after this. So Dash Hooper, go on Amazon, buy the album. You definitely need to get your copy of it. I'm hoping I have it in my hands next week. And one last chance. We have 1 week left of Immortal Era 10. So it closes next Friday. So if you haven't backed, go ahead, give it a shot. We are, I think, $100 away from funding. So we were almost at that goal. So if you can, go out there, buy Dash's book, get a copy of Immortal Era. And of course, Lori, who was on our show last week, Path of the Pale Rider. It's good stuff. It's if you want to hear a review.
Zombie Bear.
But you go on my YouTube. I have my book break where I do a 1-minute review of issue 1, and it's well worth your time, well worth your money. So support indie. We definitely need it more than the big guns out there. So now we're going to play off our show with some ads from our sponsors. We have Immortal Era 1 through 10, and we have so he put that one in there too, and we have Path of the Pale Rider. Path of the Pale Rider is almost through, so last chance to back that. It only has like 3 days left, so definitely head over there and grab that one now. And now our next sponsor. Let's check it out. All right. Slaughterville. I'll have to say, I've played that trailer a few times and I'm intrigued. And when it launches in May, I'll definitely be checking it out. It looks like a cool little horror story. So, all right. And then we will check out our next sponsor. There you go. right. And our final ad is...
Welcome to Based on a True Story, Volume 6, Tales of the Underworld, where true crime collides with the furry, funny, and fierce world of the Dust Bunny Mafia. This brand new 32-page comic reimagines real mafia legends, Mad Dog Cole, John Gotti, and more, through the eyes of our animal mobsters. Think The Godfather meets Looney Tunes, packed with action, humor, and full-color storytelling.
Right, so I know that one is funded, and yeah, we got some information. Slaughterville is role-playing game, tabletop, graphic novel, and a couple novels. There's a lot going on in that, and that's where Karen and Dante were created, which therefore then created my weird series that'll be coming out soon because of their characters from that. And then 8 days left for the Dust Bunny Mafia, and 5 days left for the Demonic Curse one. So I don't want to call it wrong. Oh, the Rake Hill. Like I said, my vision sucks. So apologies if I'm reading it wrong, but it's in the comments. Check it out. And we will be back next week for a double dose of Wicked. So tune in Monday, tune in Wednesday, and have a great week.
Have a great one. Good to see you guys.
Tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Hey! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave.